It's HPR, All Things Considered, and I'm Dave Lawrence. We are thrilled because the Wailers are back in town, and the Wailers are keeping Bob Marley's legacy alive for decades now, and they do it in a very creative way. It's a very guitar-driven show, and I realized that the last time they were through at the Blue Note, but tonight especially, it was a treat because they have Donald Kinsey, who is on the guitar, and he is son of Big Daddy Kinsey. He was in the Kinsey Report. He is a guitar player who is an American, but yet he worked with Bob Marley, and he was there then, and he can provide some great insight. And thank you for taking a moment to talk to us during the Blue Note run this weekend, Thanksgiving weekend with the Wailers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. It's good to be here.
It's great to have you here. And so set the scene for folks. Excuse me. When we think about the era, when did you first meet Bob Marley? Like, paint a picture in terms of the year and how it happened.
Oh, wow. Well, I was very young man. I had just finished doing a run playing guitar with Albert King.
What year?
This had to be in '72. And I had done like about 2.5 years with Albert, and I put together a 3-piece trio, and by the name of White Lightning was the name of the group. And I went, it was my brother and the bass player, Buster Jones, that was playing bass with Albert when I first got with Albert. And my brother Ralph Kinsey on drums, and Michael Jones, where they call him Buster. But we wrote some songs and took the Amtrak train from Gary, Indiana to New York City, looking for a record deal, man. And happened to go to Island Records. And when I went in the Island Records, I saw all these posters of this guy, Bob Marley. I had never heard of him before, never even heard of reggae music before, and as the story goes, man, eventually I ended up playing guitar with him, you know.
So it was Island that put you together with him?
It was Island, yeah, Island Records, Chris Blackwell, and yeah.
And so first time you end up meeting him is when?
I was in New York, actually, and
Separate time?
Yeah, separate time, and they had a press conference. I think Bob had played at the Beacon Theater.
This is 73?
Yeah, this had to be around that time, yeah. And during that time, I met Peter as well, Peter Tosh. Right. And man, we just really gelled together, and during that meeting, Peter invited me to come in to the studio with him when he was recording Legalize It. And the timing was just right, you know, everything was just right, man. And I actually ended up doing the Legalize It album and the Legalize It tour. And coming off of the Legalize It tour, I got a call from Bob Marley's camp, and asked me if I could come down and do some recording with Bob. And like I said, the timing was right, and
that was your very first
of
anything with him was recording.
Yeah.
And at that time, and again, the year on this is
around 75.
And so he wasn't at a superstar. It was just bubbling. It was because I remember the cover of Rolling Stone was 76. So, I mean, he was just about to explode. So describe that moment when you first met him?
Oh, man, it was it was great because this was the recording of the Rastaman Vibration. And I tell you, we toured, man, like crazy, and you know, the reggae music had never really hit the top 100s of the Billboard charts, man. And I have to give it to Island Records. They really pushed and gave us the support on the tour, you know. And it was to the point that every time I would get off the plane at the airport, I would pick up a new Billboard magazine to see if roots rock reggae is done charted, you know. And we landed in Chicago, and I brought a billboard, and bam, man, we made it into the top 100 Billboard, you know, charts, man. And I was just thrilled to death about that, man. You know what I mean? And we did like three or four nights at the Roxy in LA, which was the last club performances of Bob Marley. And from that point, man, it was
right. And theaters and then arenas, and you were there till when? Till the end?
Yeah, I was there when they came and ambushed the Hope Road, you know, man, I didn't know what was going on with that, man. You know,
you were there at the house when that attack happened.
Yeah, and
when he was injured.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. I was, you know, him, myself, and Don Taylor would happen to be in the kitchen of the house when we heard the first shots. And anyway, you know, it's a blessing that we all survived it. You know what I mean? Because it was a terrible scene, man. But like I said, the Almighty was with us and saw us through all of that. And amazingly, we even showed up at the concert and performed. Right. You know, and you know, and after that, they took a long break, and during that break time, I got a call to come back and do some more work with Peter.
So you were kind of bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, I was bouncing back and forth there for a while. You know?
Did you come to Hawaii with Marley in '79?
Was it me in '70? I think so, because I came here.
New Zealand and Australia too.
Yeah, man, I tell you, I'm not for sure.
Were you touring with him in '80 as well?
No.
Okay, so your last tours with him, did you do the '78 tour with him?
I was with him up until '76, and right after that,
you were back with Peter.
Yeah.
What's the greatest when you think about an enduring, you know, fun memory with him or special time, maybe a story that's touching even when you think about being one-on-one with Bob and just something about him that maybe people don't really realize about him or that you like to tell? Maybe it's a story that makes you feel really good when you think back of being with him.
Well, see, I have a lot of gospel and blues roots. My dad being a Delta blues guy, and my grandfather a minister of a Pentecostal church. And so, you know, Bob, doing that 3 nights at the Roxy in LA, he called me up and asked me what was I doing after the show one night. And I told him I was just having some champagne and just enjoying the night, you know. And he asked me to come over to his room and to bring my guitar. And so him and I, we just kind of like reminisced over just some old gospel tunes, and I would sing some old blues, Delta blues stuff, you know, and then he would sing it, you know what I mean? And it was just having fun, man, you know what I mean? But to hear him sing the blues, you know what I mean? And that was our connection. I mean, because the spirit of the reggae music, man, is, you know, is the lifestyle, you know, the lifestyle of them there that they lived in Jamaica. It wasn't too much different than the lifestyle of living in the Delta of Mississippi. You know what I mean? And the gospel, the truth, you know. So I that made me really connect with the music. You know what I mean? So, and Bob and I, we really united together in that spirit, you know. And I could tell you many moments that I've had with him, man. You know. Many times we would go up to 9 Mile, you know.
Where?
9 Mile in Jamaica, yeah. And he would come and pick me up and take me with him up there, and
that's where he's buried, right?
Yeah, but his cousin Sludger was his herb man, you know, his farmer, and we would go up there and spend time up in the hills, you know, and it's like being, I mean, it's that place is magical, man, you know. And you know, just we spent plenty of time up that way, you know.
Ever bring guitars up there?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, man. It's an inspirational place to be.
Just you and him up there in the mountains.
Yeah, and his cousin, you know, and there would be little kids running around in the road, man, and would stop by and start singing and stuff, you know. So it was just a relaxing time, you know, to get away from, you know, the everyday, you know, situation, and just be able to relax, man.
And appreciate being with him.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
Was Ziggy ever one of those little kids running around?
Was that what?
Was Ziggy ever one of those little kids running around?
Oh, they was around the house, you know.
You remember Ziggy as a child?
Oh yeah, man. I remember Ziggy as a kid, man.
Was Bob real proud of him?
Of course, man. Bob, man, he's, you know, Bob, he was a loving guy, man. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, Bob, truly, man, he loved kids.
I've seen a video of Ziggy up there with him when Ziggy was like 7 or some crazy thing.
Yeah,
it's a really funny looking.
But you know, you could tell from a very early age that Ziggy had his spirit. You know, was going to be a performer. Yeah. And it's really amazing how, I mean, all of his kids have that, you know what I mean? You know, so, you know, his music, his works is still going, man, you know.
Favorite song of his you get to play live at night that maybe I'll go out with it in the segment that we're playing on the radio. What's your favorite tune that you like to play, or that when you remember getting to play with Bob himself, because you roar on the guitar? Yeah, one of the things I'll just point out for folks listening is if you're a fan of the Wailers beyond their radio hits or beyond their greatest hits, meaning you get into some of the albums, maybe even if you go a little deeper and you got into the Wailers live in the late 70s, they really had some ferocious guitar work, which this gentleman can attest to. So it's a very muscular show that you're doing this weekend at the Blue Note. But what's a favorite tune that you like, and maybe we'll end the segment with it.
Roadblock was always one of my favorites, you know. Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a deep one. It's great to get to hear all these stories with you. And Donald Kinsey has been around the block and been there with the actual Wailers and with Peter Tosh on the Legalize It record of all things. Mm-hmm. And I hope you had fun getting to reminisce during this weekend that the Wailers are back at the Blue Note through Sunday. And you being on All Things Considered means a lot to me. Thank you for doing this. I really do appreciate it. Maximum respect, brother.
Thanks, my brother. Give thanks, man. Maximum respect, my friends. It's Donald Kinsey from the Wailers, back for the pledge drive. And you know why? We need your help, man. Quality is not free. It was an honor to be here with our friend Dave Lawrence. So honor this station with a helping hand. And thank you, my brothers and sisters.